Africa Skills Week is a continental platform dedicated to advancing Africa's skills transformation agenda. Building on the success of Africa Skills Week 2024, the second edition united policymakers, industry leaders, educators, youth and development partners to drive actionable solutions for skills development aligned with industrialization, sustainability, and the African Continental Free Trade Area. The platform is hosted by the African Union Commission through its Department of Education, Science, Technology and Innovation in collaboration with the Government of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Ministry of Labor and Skills. Muferihat Kamil, Minister of Labor and Skills of Ethiopia, stressed that the week emphasizes the collective commitment of Africa to fostering dialogue and action on skills development and employment across the continent, strengthening human capital for inclusive industrial growth and innovation, in her welcoming speech to the participants.
It's a profound honor and a source of great national pride for the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia and my Ministry of Labor and Skills to co-host the Africa Skills Week 2025 right here in the heart of our continent at the very headquarters of our African Union, and welcome to Addis Ababa. I'm delighted that the theme of our gathering, Powering Africa's Industrial Future, Skills for Innovation, Growth, Sustainability, is action-oriented. We are not simply discussing the future. We are here to build foundations that will drive our ambitions and aspirations. For far too long, the narrative about Africa has centered on our potential, namely that of our youthful population and our vast resources. Okay, and good, potential is great, but what is the crucial force that transforms these potentials into economic might, economic power, rather? I'm certain you all are with me that the crucial and key force is skills. Skills hold the knowledge, the precision, the ingenuity that allows us to move beyond simply extracting raw materials to actually manufacturing our own prosperity. Skills are practical demonstrations of intelligence and will, turning the idea of progress into concrete transformation. Skills, therefore, are the true engine of Agenda 2063 and of our national, continental, and global future.
Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, on his part emphasized on the Human Capital Foundation for the inclusive growth of Africa, which centers the youth skills development of the continent. As to him, the continental geographic dividend must be converted into a productive, inclusive and globally competitive workforce, rather than focusing on only national and continental levels.
This platform is designed to strengthen the continent's Human Capital Foundation for inclusive growth and innovation. The urgency of skilling our youth cannot be overstated. We must convert our demographic dividend into a productive, inclusive, and globally competitive workforce. This is why the African Union has placed skills at the heart of Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. Skills development is central, not only to inclusive growth and decent jobs, but also to the realization of the African Continental Free Trade Area, the second 10-year implementation plan, and the Continental TVET strategy. These strategies converge on a single truth. Africa cannot industrialize without investing in its people. The second edition of Africa Skills Week is convened to specifically mobilize stakeholder action and accountability in implementing the continental strategy. This continental strategy for sustainable development 2025-2034, whose launch we celebrate today, provides us with a clear continental framework to transform training systems. It is a bold call to action for member states, partners, and industries to work together to align national reforms with continental aspirations.
The Continental TVT Strategy 2025-2034 was presented by Gaspard Banyan Kimbona, Commissioner for Education, Science, Technology and Innovation at the African Union Commission. He detailed the essentials of the strategy in his speech and elucidated the significance of the strategy to the attendees in general.
It's a privilege for me today to present you the Continental TVET Strategy 2025-2034. Your Excellency, in summary, the strategy is a renewed continental framework meant to empower Africa's people with the skills to drive innovation, industrialization, and inclusive growth. The strategy is a blueprint for Africa's future as it places skills at the heart of economic transformation, turning the continent's demographic dividend into a productive, creative, and resilient workforce. You may recall last year in Accra, Ghana, the inaugural Africa Skills Week sent a powerful message to all Africans that skills are the missing link between potential and prosperity. We witnessed government, industry, and young people co-designing solutions from digital apprenticeship to green TVET curricula that are already reshaping labor market. Building on that momentum, this second edition in Addis Ababa must catalyze concrete continental-wide implementation. Why was it important to have a new strategy? A decade ago, the African Union launched the first continental TVET strategy under the second decade of education. While it laid important groundwork, a midterm review revealed persistent gaps.
In her online message presented via video display to the auditorium, Nardos Bekele, the ODA NEPAD head, pointed, the Africa Skills 2025 shall be not a meeting of the spectators, but of change makers, which the continent Africa is looking very badly for.
It is an honor to welcome you to Africa Skills Week 2025, a gathering not of spectators, but of change makers, bridge builders, and believers in the African dream. Let me begin by expressing my deep appreciation to the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia for graciously hosting us, and to the African Union Commission for its steadfast leadership in this shared mission, together with its premier development agency, our agency, the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa is at a turning point, and we are meeting at a defining moment, not just for Africa, but for humanity. The first 2 decades of the century, as you know, gave us hope. Economic growth reached 5.4%, human development improved, and the world began to recognize Africa's rise. But behind the numbers, the poverty gap stood firm. 48.5% of our people still lived in poverty by 2020. Why? Because the model was never designed for us to win. We relied too heavily on raw materials, on external markets, and on a development path that was never truly ours. Now we find ourselves standing between recurring global shocks and a persistent struggle to merely manage poverty. It's time to stop managing poverty and start engineering prosperity. It's time to stop complying with a broken system and start reimagining our own. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa's greatest asset is our people. By 2035, our working age population will exceed 1 billion people. This is not a burden. This is power. That's not a challenge. It is Africa's superpower, but only if we equip our youth with the skills that matter. Not just degrees on paper, not just certificates on a wall, but skills that can build, make, fix, grow, and innovate. Last month in Lusaka, Zambia, we launched the inaugural Industrial Skills Week Africa. Its message was loud and clear. If we want to power Africa's future, we must skill for it. If we want to unlock Africa's potential, we must train differently, think boldly, and act collectively.
The Canadian ambassador to the African Union, Ben Mark Diendre, has expressed the commitment of his country, Canada, to work with the nations in Africa, uplifting the skills of the youth of the continent.
It's a great honor to join you today in Addis Ababa for the second edition of Africa Skills Week 2025. This gathering marks our collective engagement to unlock Africa's immense potential through skills development, innovation, and inclusive growth. We are here only to celebrate progress, but to confront challenges and accelerate actions. The theme of this week is very important. Canada is proud to stand with the African Union and its member states on its effort. We recognize the resilient education system, especially in technical and vocational education, are essential to achieving Agenda 2063 and driving economic transformation. That's why last year, Canada announced a doubling of its support to African Union Commission, including 10 million dedicated to education and TVET. This support is helping to harmonize policies, strengthening teacher training, and develop inclusive curricula aligned with the labor market needs and emerging sectors. It's also aligned with Canada's first ever Africa strategy, launched this year, in which we commit to deepening and broadening our engagement with Africa across 5 strategic areas, one of which focuses especially on youth empowerment, poverty reduction, and economic development through investment and skill training.
Similarly, the European Union ambassador to the African Union, Javier Nino Perez, has reiterated the long-standing partnership between Africa and the European Union in enhancing the skills and education status of Africa in order to upgrade the lives of millions of people across Africa.
The EU stands ready to work with you in a spirit of dialogue, of respect and cooperation, in a partnership that is politically and financially incredibly significant. Let me just recall, we've been discussing investments. The latest figures of the United Nations Commission for Trade and Development point to the fact that the EU's investment stock in this continent is 6 times higher than anyone else's, and this is because of one simple reason, because we believe strongly in the potential of this continent. Today is about skills, and I just want to flag a couple of examples of the many, many actions we implement together with the African Union Commission, with African countries. Let me, for instance, mention the Skills Initiative for Africa, which we're implementing in close cooperation with AUDA NEPAD, led by my dear sister Nardos Bekele Thomas, with KfW, with GIC, with our German friends. This is a partnership that works on 25 different countries in Africa, including my sister Nonseba's beautiful South Africa, to create skills, to give skills to young people so that we can work, find jobs on TVET.
Minister Muferiat again explained the Ethiopian stand as a host country and said, Ethiopia understands the investment on skills development must be comprehensive and inclusive. Accordingly, as to her, the nation has dedicated huge emphasis to the millions of trainees across the nation that would serve the national interest and fulfill the continental needs as well.
As your host, Ethiopia understands that the investment on skills development must be comprehensive and inclusive. Our national conceptualization and commitment to TVET is driven by the conviction that every hand and every mind matters. In line with the Continental Tibet strategy, we are prioritizing practical, demonstrable actions, building on the strong momentum established by our Ghanaian hosts at Africa Skills Week 2024. And now, as we in Ethiopia proudly take in the baton, I believe that our work this week too must be guided by a clear call to action to fundamentally transform our TV systems and prepare Africa's youth for the future of work. The Ministry of Labor and Skills is already responding to the continental as well as global imperatives through concrete steps and initiatives that underscore our commitment to a skills revolution. If I may quickly share, one, we are actively promoting an entrepreneurial TVET culture, shifting the mindset of our youth from job seekers to job creators. We are increasingly integrating business and soft skills, including professional ethics and, most importantly, patriotism across our technical curricula, empowering graduates with the training, mentorship, and access to finance they need to launch their own enterprises and drive growth. Two, recognizing the necessity of a just transition, we are also promoting the greening of Tibet and integrating digitalization. Our programs aim to focus on skills for renewable energy, environmental management, and modern digital competencies. The aim is to ensure our workforce is ready for the future of work, preparing them not only for our industrial parks, but also for Africa's sustainable and tech-enabled future. Three, we are strengthening the links between training institutions and private industry, ensuring our curriculum is demand-driven. Simultaneously, we are constantly overhauling our quality assurance so that our TVET qualifications and credentials from Ethiopia are continentally and globally relevant and competitive. A good case in point is our Welding Training and Technology Center, which has achieved international certifications as an approved training body from the International Institute of Welding.
Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, has underlined the imperative actions that should be considered by the member countries of the Union.
It is imperative to take the following key actions: harnessing transformative potential of artificial intelligence as a cross-cutting accelerator to drive smarter, faster, and more inclusive outcomes. Strengthen policy coherence and regional integration. Advance regional cooperation frameworks. Accelerate the implementation of the Continental Strategy for Sustainable Development. Enhance high-quality and inclusive skills system. And foster robust partnerships and knowledge sharing. Finally, sustain momentum from the AU Year of Education. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we do not walk this journey alone. Our partnerships with governments, development partners, academia, civil society, and above all, the private sector are vital. This second edition of Africa Skills Week 2025 should not only serve as a platform for dialogue, but also as a launchpad for concrete commitments, measurable progress, and bold continental action. In closing, I call upon all of us here to rise to the challenge. We must appreciate the potential of skills to shape a new African destiny, one where our youth are empowered, our industries are thriving, and our continent stands tall as a global force of innovation, growth, and sustainable development.
Gaspard Banyan Kimbona, in his extended presentation, mentioned how dynamic should be the new strategy in bridging the skills gap in Africa and narrowing the openings between and among nations when it comes to the skills development.
Number one, our TVET systems remain largely supply-driven, disconnected from the dynamic needs of agriculture, manufacturing, energy, ICT, and tourism, the very sectors powering Africa's industry future. Number two, governance remained fragmented with overlapping mandates across ministries and weak coordination between education, labor, and industry. Number three, financing remained insufficient and unsustainable, with public investment averaging less than 2% of the national education budget in many African countries. Number four, women, rural youth, and informal workers continue to face systemic barriers to quality training. Number five, and that one is critical, TVET has not kept pace with the twin revolution of digitalization and climate action, despite their centrality to the African Union Agenda 2063. We cannot industrialize without skilled hands. We cannot innovate without skilled minds. And we cannot achieve the Africa we want without a workforce that is alert, adaptive, and future ready. What is the vision and the mission of the strategy? This strategy is anchored in the African Union 2063 vision of an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa driven by its own citizens. Its mission is very clear: to cultivate a globally competitive, innovative, and inclusive African workforce equipped with technical, entrepreneurial, and green skills needed to power industrialization, drive sustainable development, and create decent jobs for all. At its core, this strategy reflects the African Union's conviction that Africa's wealth lies in the talent and ingenuity of its people.
We identified 4 transformational shifts. Let me be clear, the future will not wait, and so we must shift urgently and unapologetically. First, from qualifications to competencies. Our learners must be ready to work, to create, and to solve. On the factory floor, in tech hubs, on the farm, in control rooms, equipped with competency-based learning, micro-credentials, and skills passports. This is how we build agility, not bureaucracy. Second, from supply-driven to demand-led systems. We must put industry in the driver's seat. Co-design the standards, co-deliver the training, co-assess the skill. And apprenticeships and dual training must become the norm, not the exception. Third, from fragmented data to shared intelligence. We cannot manage what we do not measure. Skills forecasting, labor market insights, data that talks to each other are the backbone of any smart skills economy. And fourth, from extraction to beneficiation. Let me say this again. For every policymaker and every part, Africa must no longer export its wealth. The world wants our lithium, our cobalt, our rare earth. But we must not be content to dig and ship. We must process, we must manufacture, we must refine and export value, not just volume. This is how we create decent jobs, build sovereign industries, and claim our rightful place in global supply chain. Let me now lay out the Lusaka 4 concrete proposals for skills revolution, our blueprint for transformation. The first one is country industrial skills compacts, country-led agreements aligning TVET reforms and investment to high-value industries, manufacturing, agro-processing, green industries, and the beneficiation of critical minerals. The second is the African Skills Intelligence Partnership, a continental coalition to gather, harmonize, and use real labor market data to guide training, funding, and policy. And the third one is the Industrial Apprenticeship and Dual Training Coalition, which is a public-private partnership where employers commit apprenticeships and investments, and governments guarantee quality and recognition across borders. The fourth is the Skills for Sustainability Accelerator, a focused initiative to train our youth in the skills of the future.
Canada has a long history of supporting skills in employment and TVET. We collaborate with African partners to strengthen training systems using competency-based approaches, gender transformative programming, and private sector linkage, ensuring that women, youth, and marginalized groups are empowered to thrive. While 10 to 12 million African youth enter the workforce each year, only about 3 million formal jobs are created, leaving vast numbers of youth unemployed or facing irregular and informal employment. The challenge before us is clear. We must convert Africa's demographic dividend into a productive, inclusive, and globally competitive workforce. Let us seize the moment to build a future where every young African has a skill, opportunity, and support to shape the continent's industrial transformation. And let us ensure those skills are resilient and forward-looking, empowering Africans to lead in the energy transition, harness digitalization, and responsibly deploy artificial intelligence. Canada stands ready to work with all of you to co-create solutions to equip Africa's youth, not just to participate in their respective economies, but to transform them.
Let me also mention the Africa Continental Qualification Framework. This is basically about enabling African young people from countries to be able to go to other countries and work there. This is part of a flagship initiative by the EU called the Youth Mobility Initiative of 1 billion euros. All this is done, as you know, in close cooperation with the private sector. The private sector plays a critical role in this context. We also have programs that integrate that private sector. Let me also mention the operational driven skills that we implement in Africa on VAT, together with Belgium, with Germany, with Finland, and with France. And this is about something my dear sister Nardos mentioned. This is about investment, but mostly create jobs related to value chains in Africa, not in Europe. Let me just conclude, Chairperson, Minister, all of you, but once again I return to committing to work very closely with Africa. In a few weeks, our heads of state of government will get together in Luanda in Angola for the 7th EU-AU partnership. We go there in a spirit of cooperation, of dialogue, and always keeping in mind the value of our partnership, where we listen to each other, where we learn to each other, and where we build together.
I hope some of you have experienced what I've mentioned right now, yesterday, during your visits. Such efforts that cover policy, governance, quality, and partnership are essential. That's why we highly value the essence of platforms such as Africa Skills Week and the resultant inspirations, partnerships, and networks that are critical to align our policy frameworks, guarantee the quality of skills we offer to our citizens. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the challenges of training an entire continent are so immense that we can hardly address them all in one annual or biannual event. You may have noticed that the themes are rich and complex, but let's remember that what we are discussing or debating is not abstract theory. We are discussing how to ensure a young entrepreneur can secure the digital expertise and technical skills to access the FCFTA marketplace, or how a factory can find the green certified technicians needed to transit to sustainable energy. In other words, it's not cliche that skills are the link between policy and paycheck. I'm thus very confident that the outcomes of our dialogues, panels, and roundtable discussions will shape investment priorities in our national, regional, and continental contexts in the realm of skills development and beyond. I thus encourage you all to participate in the field visits. I think we had more to our industrial parks, TVET institutions and training centers, but to the various city corners and corridors. I would like you to witness firsthand how the power of a skilled workforce is transforming our economy and our urban landscape.
What makes this strategy different is that the continental TVET strategy marks a kind of paradigm shift from training for employment to empowering for enterprise, from isolated interventions to integrated ecosystems, from certificate to competence that matter in real economies. It champions four transformative imperatives. Number one, inclusion and equity, ensuring TVET reaches women, youth from rural areas, persons with disabilities, and those in the informal economy, recognizing that domestic work, artisanal crafts, and agro-processing are dignified professions deserving of formal recognition and support. Number two, innovation and entrepreneurship. Embedding creativity, design thinking, and intellectual property literacy into curricula so that every TVET graduate sees themselves not as able job seekers, indeed they are able, but also as able job creator, as the minister rightly highlighted in her speech. Number three, digital and green skills, preparing learners for the job of tomorrow, renewable energy technicians, artificial intelligence augmented artisans, circular economy specialists, and climate-resilient farmers. Number four, validation of informal learning, formalizing the vast reservoir of skills in Africa's informal sector, where over 80% of youth acquire their first trade through recognition of prior learning and portable certifications. The strategic focus and foundation pillars of the strategy. Number one, the strategy advances two interconnected goals, actually three. Number one is to guide member states in developing and implementing transformative, demand-driven, high-quality national TVET policy and systems. Number two, to guide the African Union and its institutions and organs, regional economic communities, regional mechanisms, outer NEPAD and partners in implementing the strategy. Number three, to strengthen coherence through harmonized standards, mutual recognition of qualifications, and regional mobility.
Clean manufacturing, e-mobility, energy efficiency, waste valorization, etc. Africa must not just survive climate change, we must lead the green transition. The Lusaka Industrial Skills Week for Africa, ladies and gentlemen, also identified 5 accompanying enablers to power this vision, as we will not get there by hope alone. We need to deliver on 5 enablers. The first one is stronger standards, harmonized, credible, and future-oriented. The second one is innovative finance, blending public funding, private capital, and outcome-based models. The third one is built-in inclusion, gender-responsive training, disability access, self-learning environments, etc. And the fourth one is SME empowerment. Help small businesses host apprentices and grow up the value chain. And the fifth one is digital and AI readiness. From coding to quality assurance, the future is digital, and we must be ready. This must not be just another conference. Africa Skills Week 2025 must not end with applause. It must end with commitments, with funding decisions, with new coalitions, signed compacts, and clear timelines. At the African Union Development Agency, your premier development agency, we will convene the right actors, de-risk innovation and scale what works, mobilize financing, and above all, hold ourselves accountable to impact, not by how many sessions we host, but by how many young Africans we help place in decent, productive jobs. Excellencies, distinguished guests, Africa's time is not coming. It is now. It is today. Africa's future will not be mined. It will be built by our youth with their hands, their minds, and their unstoppable spirit. Let us stop managing survival. Let's start architecting prosperity. Let us no longer be participants in someone else's value chain. Let us be owners of our own. I strongly urge that from this moment forward, with Industrial Skills Week Africa, to maximize impact and strengthen our continental movement for skills, jobs, and industry. Together we can shift the course of our continent, from poverty to productivity, from potential to power, from extraction to transformation. Let's build a future worthy of our people and of the generations to come.
3 principles guide this transformation. Number 1, alignment and relevance. Ensuring TVET strategy aligns with development strategies and socio-economic policies for maximum impact and coherence. Number 2, excellence with values. Promoting high quality, ethical, and value-driven TVET program that meet international standard and local needs. Number 3, co-creation and partnership by building strong partnership from co-creation and knowledge sharing in TVET across all stakeholders and sectors. To achieve the intended objectives of the strategy, we stand on 4 foundation pillars. Number 1, policy, governance, and sustainable finance by establishing unified national TVET authorities. Some countries already have, some others not. Leveraging on innovative financing, industry levies, public-private partnership, and result-based funding is some of the projects like E-strip have been focusing on. Number 2, quality, relevance, and inclusion. It's embedded occupation standard co-developed with industry to scale up work-based learning in partnership and knowledge sharing, institutionalize industry advisory board in every flagship TVET institute, promote regional collaboration such as the harmonized TVET qualification framework that the East Africa has already developed under E-strip and which enables mutual recognition of more than 200 qualifications today. Number 4, institutional capacity, technology, and innovation. Our TVET institutions are supposed to be equipped as a center of excellence. By doing so, we shall enable them to accelerate digital transformation, embracing e-learning, smart classroom, and artificial intelligence-enabled career guidance. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, there is a call for collective action to implement this strategy. This transformation cannot be led by government alone. It demands a new social contract for skills. To our member states, you are requested to integrate this strategy into national development plans and protect TVET budget as social investment, not really as expenditure. To the private and productive sector, move beyond your corporate social responsibility to strategic co-ownership fund training, host apprenticeships, co-design curricula, and hire TVET graduates from Africa. To development partners, align support behind country-owned systems and avoid duplication to focus on building sustainability. To our Africa's youth and women, you are the majority, actually around 80% of the whole population of the African continent. Step forward as innovators, entrepreneurs, and leaders. Your ideas still power Africa's factories, farms, and digital platforms. As I conclude, Your Excellency, the Continental TVET Strategy 2025-2034 is a promise that no young person will be left behind because they choose a technical path. A promise that African industries will find the skilled talent they need at home, ending the paradox of unemployment amid skills shortages. And a promise that Africa will adapt to the future of work and most probably shape it if the member states take ownership of the implementation of this strategy. Let this second edition of Africa Skills Week be remembered beyond its declarations. Let us leave Addis Ababa in the next 4 days with a clear idea on our national roadmaps, industry commitments, and the youth pledge to turn this strategy into reality. Because when we invest in the hands that build, the minds that innovate, and the dreams of Africa youth today, we prepare for and create the future at the same time, and the future is industrial, innovative, inclusive, and sustainable. And the future, that future I talk about has a name, and its name is the Africa we want.
The second Africa Skills Week 2025 is expected to be wrapped up on Friday, October 17. Concerned governmental bodies, partners and stakeholders have taken the platform to contribute their sides for the betterment of Africa's skills development. The annual meeting is playing pivotal roles in synchronizing skills gaps across Africa, the participants elaborated.